In my case, I got my MBA in the US and moved back to Toronto to commence what I thought was a 2-year search. And it roughly took me about that long, just under 2 years to identify Microdea. I connected directly with the father and son founding team. I happened to catch the right people at the right time in that they were looking to transition the business to the next group of owners. However, over time became very disillusioned with the typical exit paths that your owners will be, or pardon me, that your listeners will be very familiar with, broadly speaking, private equity and strategics. At a high level, they grew to develop a high distaste for private equity. They didn't like the idea of their company being one asset in a portfolio of assets. They didn't like the fact that they wouldn't have a personal relationship with the individual running their business. They didn't like the fact that they had a very finite ownership period. And similarly, they didn't like the idea of selling to a strategic because in their mind, quite accurately in my experience, they worried that their company would basically cease to exist and be gobbled up entirely several years after acquisition. And so the way that I described a search fund to them is I basically said, hey, I'm a succession plan that's looking for the right business to succeed. And I think yours might be it. And that really resonated with them. They liked the fact that I had a portfolio of one. I had no other assets on which to focus my time and attention. They liked the fact that I was not only the owner of the business, but the person who was going to be operating the business. And during the transition period, we had already created, a lot of water under the bridge vis-a-vis our relationship. And frankly, they liked the small things. They liked the fact that I was going to keep the company's name. They liked the fact that I was focused on growing the company because if the company didn't grow under my ownership, I wouldn't get any value. They liked the fact that 99.9% of my own net worth and the entirety of my career was tied up in this one single illiquid private asset. And so, look, the price had to be good enough. The structure had to be good enough. But once we kind of passed that bar, ultimately, it was the more qualitative considerations that really got them over the bar and really got them compelled to the idea of selling to an individual, not like a nameless, faceless private equity firm or corporation. So I bought the company in 2014, had roughly sure.
So Steve, let me just pause you. I just want to just a couple of questions about that. Roughly how big was it at the time in terms of number of employees, revenue?
Yeah, so at the time it was about 6 million of revenue and about 33 employees when we bought it.
Got it. And can you share a little bit about valuation structure, how you went about buying it?